All right, welcome to AI Verdict. So you're probably looking at Grok 4.20 and GPT 5.4 and thinking, okay, they're basically the same thing, right? I mean, two massive models, giant context windows, both claiming to be the absolute best. But here's the thing, that comparison completely misses the point.
So let's get right to it. Is this just a case of Coke versus Pepsi? Two different flavors of the same tech? It's a totally fair question, especially with all the hype flying around. But once you start digging through the developer docs, the system cards, the benchmarks, it becomes so clear. These two models aren't even playing the same game. They're not trying to solve the same fundamental problem, and knowing that difference is absolutely key to picking the right one for what you need to do.
First things first, we got to clear up some confusion around the names. Because honestly, it trips everyone up, but it also tells you a whole lot about each company's strategy. It really comes down to the product versus the actual model.
Okay, let's break this down. You hear people say ChatGPT 5.4 all the time, but that's not quite right. ChatGPT is the product, the app you use. GPT 5.4 is the engine under the hood, and OpenAI even offers a separate thinking version for heavier reasoning. Now on the other side, Grok 4.20 is the model name, and they have their own special version called Multi-Agent, which is built to handle a bunch of research tasks at once. Getting this distinction right is crucial.
So with that cleared up, let's get to the headline numbers. We're talking about the big, flashy specs, context windows, what these models can actually see and hear, and just how up-to-date their knowledge is. And this is all straight from the official docs.
And this table really shows the trade-offs. Look at Grok 4.20, a 2 million tokened context window. That is absolutely massive. It's perfect for dumping in an entire codebase. GPT 5.4 is no slouch either at just over 1 million tokens, which is great for really long agent tasks. When it comes to what they can see, both handle text and images, but you need separate APIs for things like audio and video. And check out the training cutoff. OpenAI is super transparent with a date in August 2025. Grok's specific date, though, not so clearly documented.
Okay, now we're getting to the most important part. If you take one thing away from this explainer, let it be this. We are looking at a fundamental, philosophical split in how these models approach using tools to actually get work done. So here's the core of it, their architecture. GPT 5.4 uses something called tool search. So instead of cramming every single tool you have into the prompt, it smartly goes out and grabs only the ones it needs for that specific task. It's all about efficiency. Grok 4.20, on the other hand, takes a totally different approach. It unleashes multiple sub-agents that all work at the same time, in parallel, each using different tools. Then, a leader agent pulls all their work together for the final answer. This is built for pure, comprehensive throughput.
This quote just nails it. Is it better to be a smart specialist that picks the one perfect tool, or is it better to throw a whole team of specialists at the problem all at once? See, it's not about which one is better overall. It's about which approach fits the job you need to do.
Now, speaking of these kinds of complicated agent workflows, what if you want all that power, but without getting totally bogged down in the technical setup? Well, that brings us right to our sponsor.
If you want to automate workflows with agents, but you really don't want to deal with the DevOps nightmare, InClaw AI offers fully managed hosting for OpenClaw. And here's the best part. Their plans, which start at just under $30 a month, come with $40 to $80 of AI model credits bundled right in. This means you don't get hit with a separate, unpredictable API bill at the end of the month. It's just one single predictable cost.
All right, let's get back to it and talk reliability. How do we measure what's true and how well these things perform? This gets tricky because, you guessed it, the two companies aren't even measuring the same thing.
This is actually fascinating. OpenAI makes a super specific claim. GPT 5.4 is 33% less likely to make a false factual claim. They're optimizing for being more accurate when they give you an answer. XAI, however, talks about a non-hallucination rate. What that means is Grok is way more likely to just say, I don't know, instead of taking a guess and being wrong. So what do you prefer? A model that's more accurate when it answers, or one that just refuses to answer if it's not totally sure?
And when you look at benchmarks, man, there is a huge difference in transparency. OpenAI puts a full scorecard out there, showing these really impressive scores on things like software engineering, computer use, and browsing tasks. But for Grok 4.20, we just don't have that same kind of first-party data from XAI.
So we're left relying on third-party composite scores. This one gives GPT 5.4 a higher general intelligence index, but you gotta remember, A single number like this never tells the whole story, and it might not really capture Grok's insane strength when it comes to those huge, long-context tasks. Okay, let's talk brass tacks, the practical stuff. What does all this cost? And is it actually ready for big companies to use?
When it comes to pricing, OpenAI is incredibly detailed and transparent. What you see is what you get, broken down by region, service tier, the whole thing. XAI uses a more dynamic pricing model. Now, third-party sources say it could end up being cheaper, especially for certain kinds of jobs, but it's something you'll have to verify for yourself.
But, the bottom line on deployment is that both of these platforms are totally mature and enterprise-ready. They've got robust security, they have options for data residency, and they're available through all the major cloud players like Azure, Google Cloud, and Oracle. So, for big organizations, either one is a safe bet.
So, after all of that, we get to the final verdict. Which model should you actually use? Let's break it down into a really practical decision framework based on what you specifically need. You should go with GPT 5.4 if what you're doing is building general-purpose agents that need to operate software. It's also the better choice if you need tons of official documentation on safety and performance, or if you just need one single, well-balanced model that does a good job at everything: coding, reasoning, and using tools. At the end of the day, it's the safer, more transparent default choice. But, and this is a big but, you should absolutely go with Grok 4.20 if your biggest problem, your main bottleneck, is just cramming a massive amount of information into the model. If your whole workflow is ingest everything, research it, and then synthesize a result, Grok's multi-agent design was built from the ground up for exactly that job.
So you see, neither model is just better. They're built for different things. And the real question you should be asking isn't which AI is the best, it's which AI is built for my workflow,